Well, hello, everybody. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. See, he's used to cutting me off now because if you didn't notice, he just did a solo video without me.
Oh.
Oh, if you guys got a chance to watch that, I did.
What'd you think?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
That's why this den keeps growing, because he can't stop spending money. But it's good.
But notice the video was only pretty good without him.
Yeah.
The ones with him are great.
Exactly.
I agree.
There'll be some solo stuff this way, too. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that, by the way. But enough about us. Let's talk about us. This is the K&B Music Den. I'm Keith.
I'm Brad.
And we're here with yet another new album review, Brad. Yeah. They just keep coming.
Can't stop them.
Yeah.
Can't stop them.
This year, even this summer in particular. Yep. Lots of stuff, lots of new material from bands that we grew up with, exploring lots of different styles, and really having a lot of fun with this, and the feedback's been great. We really appreciate the support. So we'll remind you now and remind you at the end of the video, please like the video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. That's the most important thing you could do for us. Comment, and we really appreciate it. Yes. But let's get right down to the heart of the matter here, as Don Henley would say. This is the new album from Goo Goo Dolls that is called Chaos in Bloom. So I have to admit, Brad, I came into this album with really not too high of expectations. And the reason I say that is because Goo Goo Dolls, great band. I feel like their more recent output has gotten a little safe, a little more adult contemporary than the rocking stuff of the 90s and early 2000s. And now, I don't always do this. It kind of depends on the artist and depends on my mood and how much time I have, frankly. But I actually did listen to A Boy Named Goo.
Okay.
And Dizzy Up the Girl.
Yes.
And I actually listened to, is it Superstar Car Wash?
Yes,
right
the first one,
that? Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to this band in a while. I'm like, okay, digging it.
Yeah.
And then I put on the new one, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? So let me ask you, Brad, what did you get with the new one?
Well, I was curious to see where you were going to go with that.
I've been to switch it to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if this is intentional or not.
I don't even know.
Me, I'm like Keith. I listen to some of their back catalog. I like some of their back catalog quite a bit.
Yeah.
Own quite a few of it.
Yeah.
To me, this was adult contemporary still.
Okay.
There's some bright spots. And again, I'm not a musician. Keith's more of a musician. So there's things I'm going to bring up and ask him as we go through this that he can fill me in on where I got a little disappointed in certain spots.
I'll try my best.
So he'll educate. But for me, it was safe. Like you said, it was.
Yeah.
That's what you said you expected is what I personally got. I don't know if that's what you ended up getting or if you got blown away.
No, I got what you got.
Okay.
And kind of what you're dancing around with your comments, I think, is what I call radio rock by numbers.
Yeah.
It's very formulaic. Yep. It's very safe. Not bad. I mean, I can't listen to this album and say, oh, geez, I had to listen to that album. Like, when the Goo Goo Dolls come out with something new, I'm interested. I want to hear what's going on, where they are. And this can branch into a whole bunch of topics that we'll get to.
Sure.
Maybe on this video, maybe just different topics in different videos. But, the rock stars of the past, as they age and become more mature, the songwriting is something that it fascinates me because some artists, they write, it makes sense to write about where you are in your life.
Sure.
But if I'm listening to a cool rock band, I don't necessarily want to hear a song about how cute your kid is.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily, I have a daughter, but I think you should explore and you should change and you should mature and and it should be authentic. So if that's where you are.
Is this where you're going with it? You didn't feel this is very authentic?
Well,
because I will say
calculated. I'll say it's calculated.
I felt that what you were saying, where
I
didn't feel like he was writing anything that was. Maybe I'm wrong, but it didn't seem like this was something that was writing other than this would sound good on the radio. I mean, I didn't feel like he was going through any personal strife or this was getting anything out. It's just it did seem like
this rhyme works well.
Yes.
I don't necessarily have any connection to it, but it sure sounds good.
Yep.
And it doesn't always, by the way, on this album. But
to me, one thing is Johnny, I feel like, is a better writer than he's given himself credit for in this album. There was moments on this album where I went, you can hear the talent he has, And then it's almost like he just, I don't know how to put it. Like I said, musically, as a musician, it feels like they then went to something safe. They took the bones of the song, which were good, and just kind of decorated it in a very radio-friendly manner.
Yes, like what's the song? I think it's the fourth track. Let the Sun?
That is exactly what I put on here.
Perfect example of what you're talking about.
To me, where the album was taking an upswing, but it didn't get there. It couldn't quite...
Well, and I feel like with that song in particular, Let the Sun, it's got this great acoustic vibe.
Yes.
It's got some cool lyrics. He sings fantastically.
Yes, he does. His voice is still great.
Yeah, and kudos to him for that. But then it seemed like for the last minute of the song, they just pumped into this huge stadium late Coldplay type thing, where it was like the song didn't need that. The song was not asking you to take it there, and you did.
And folks, I take notes on my phone because I'm not as I'm more modern, right? But for example, Keith,
yes,
a song came on day after day, and I thought, okay, I think it was track 8, and what it may have been. Okay. I thought, okay, this sounds good. I had a piano intro.
Yeah.
And I was like, this might be my highlight. And was I wrong in thinking that was drum machines that came in then, and it almost had like a dance beat? And then the song was done. It was done. I was
you are
off
not
board.
Wrong. Well, and you're touching upon something that I took in my notes. A lot of this album felt very stiff and very digital.
Yeah.
Whereas when you listen to their earlier stuff, I mean, they're a rock band.
Yeah.
They're and this just sounds like was I talking to you where you said that they recorded it over the COVID break?
I did not. I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was not me.
Okay. Maybe I read that somewhere, but it sounds very much like that, which, if that's true, I mean, you did what you had to do during COVID, and you used your time, and made an album, so that's great. It's much appreciated. But it sounds very much like, okay, here's the drums, a drum beat. It doesn't even necessarily sound like a human drummer, which again is fine for some styles of music warrant that or are built on that purposefully, but not Goo Goo Dolls for me.
No, me either.
And again, they changed with the times, and it's okay. I think it's okay to say I'm more into the early stuff.
Yes.
I mean, how often do you feel like that with bands?
Well,
a lot.
I don't think it's just
and
that.
Why is that?
For me, and this is going to sound terrible, I'm not trying to break the band up, but this album, what it taught me is I would like to see Johnny do a solo project.
Okay.
Because the bones of the song, like I said, sounded good to me, and I felt like it was forced into something it wasn't. I would like to hear someone like him who's got a lot of experience throw out a solo album. Yeah. I think he could write a hell of a solo album. His voice is amazing.
I agree.
The song structures are still there.
Well, and it's interesting you bring up solo album with Goo Goo Dolls because they are well known for having 2 lead singers, really. Johnny Resnick is obviously the primary lead singer.
Yep.
Now, Robbie, the bass player, throughout their career, and including this album, sings lead on several tracks on every album.
He does.
Now, but here's the thing. Robbie had that bratty punk voice when he was younger.
Yeah.
And now, on this album, it seemed like he softened his approach to fit the songs. Now, it would have sounded weird if he sang in his early voice with these songs, but I do miss his old, it's kind of that nasally, bratty punk sound, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's actually really cool.
They were basically a very modern, what's the band I'm thinking of?
Blink-182?
No. Oh, not that. Come on now.
Well, no,
the replacements. The replacements.
Okay.
As far as just that sound, they had that very Midwest rock.
He said, come on now, not Blink-182.
No, can't do that to him. But
I just meant one nasally singer, one not nasally.
I see what you're saying.
That's all I meant, but I understand you.
But yeah, I mean, you went from having almost like a replacements, freewheeling, mid-rock, mid-south rock sound,
to this.
To like you said, paint by numbers rock.
Safe.
Yeah. I don't feel like that's what the band would like to do. I mean, honestly, I don't know how corporate world works, but it feels like,
it feels like there's some, the agenda is to maybe have another hit like Iris or something, not necessarily to put out.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that they're being controlled by a label necessarily, because I don't even know. I mean, with the way things go today, so many bands are just doing what they want and self-releasing because, like, the labels are like, that's a whole other conversation. But I have to admit, when I first pulled this album up, and I saw the title of the first song, Yeah, I Like You, I cringed and I was like, this is not going to be a good experience. But you know what? That's probably my favorite song on the album.
It's not mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about it. It overcame that title, and I thought it came in rocking, and I thought it was a great way to start the album, to be honest.
No, you'll hear me use the phrase "campy" a lot in different videos, and to me, that's when a song sounds like it should be on a rom-com and not on an album. And to me, that's what that was. This was, to me, the example of Johnny trying to write a song to get on the radio.
Okay, well, not fair. Now, for me, when I actually think the first 4 songs, track 1, 2, and 4 in particular for me were my favorite songs on the album, and then it kind of did a slow, steady dive to the end for me. It kind of limped to the finish line. That was just my impression. But again, there are some cringeworthy lyrics on this album, but not as many as I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree.
And I don't know. I feel like I'm bashing, because obviously if you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you're a big Goo Goo Dolls fan. I cannot say that I had a horrible experience listening to this album. I can't say I'll never listen to it again. But, and I think this is another point that I should bring up and see how you feel about this, Brad. There have been so many strong releases this year and even last year that stacking up against
it does muddy
their
the
peers
waters,
that are also aging artists, it's just not quite there as much. And again, not a bad album.
And again, I'm not bashing either, because I actually think they can do much better. I think you hear some of it in the songs that they got the talent, they got the songwriting chops.
Well,
just something with the production, something with the way it was done.
The production.
That's what did it for me. That's what pushed it the wrong way. You could tell Johnny can still write his ass off. So I mean,
and sing,
I mean it's
and Robbie,
it's there. It's just
no, you're right. I mean, I think a key thing about this album that we're both saying is the production. It's just it's very safe. It's very digital.
It doesn't sound like a Goo Goo Dolls album. They used to have that gritty sound, and the grit's gone.
Yeah,
the grit's gone.
Yeah. And, maybe they're not as gritty as they were, because they must be like 50 or something right now, or ish.
Yeah.
Give or take.
We're all getting old.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. But, so I don't know. It's something that I struggle with a lot of the bands that I liked in the 80s and 90s. It's like, but there are artists. There are artists like Elvis Costello, who's still putting out stuff that I will put right up along with his best stuff in his whole career, because he's just doing what he does best, and he's not trying to talk about the fact that he's in his later years all the time, and he's not trying to write about everything that's in the moment of his life. Now, I can't take that away from a songwriter. I'm a songwriter myself, as I've said, but I like to write songs about, no one knows who I am or cares about my songs, so, who cares what I have to say? But, I mean, from my perspective, I like to write songs that are story songs. I like to write songs, I don't know, I just like to write different kinds of songs, and I don't like to write a song that you hear the lyrics, or you could read them on a paper and say, oh, this guy must be pushing 50, because I am pushing 50. I don't like that. I don't like to show my age in my art.
No.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, overall though, I mean, I think where I want to leave my opinion off on this whole thing is, I don't mean to sound like I'm coming off bad on the album. I just think they can do much better. Like, I wouldn't count this band out from having another hit album.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear the strength of the songs, it's still there. It's just a matter of catching that right sound. I don't think they put it together the right way on this album, but they absolutely still can. This isn't a band that's done.
No.
No, this band can still...
And there's some solid material on this album.
This could be a grower. I mean, this might be one we have to come back and do an edit and go, guys, we're idiots. But this is just this is the initial reaction.
Yeah. And, when I'm in what I like to call a goo-goo mood, it's hard for me. Now, I listened to Dizzy Up the Girl for the first time in a while. Oh, my goodness.
Great stuff.
There's not a bad song on that album. Black Balloon's one of my favorite songs I've ever done.
Yep. And that's the problem, is when you take a band like this, you automatically have to compare this work with all their work, and it's really hard to catch back up to that. Yeah. So even though it sounds like I'm bashing, I'm not bashing. It's just, it's not there where it was at one point. And I feel like not say it will be pertinent. They could definitely get there again. There's another album in them, I think.
Oh, yeah. And
we'll
be listening.
Minds. Yes,
we'll be listening and probably reviewing.
Yes, absolutely.
I would definitely recommend to Goo Goo Dolls fans and casual fans of the band, check this out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
are we being a little too hard on it maybe? Do you hear the same things? But we would love to know, so put your comments in down below the video. And I have to be honest, with the hardcore Goo Goo Dolls fans, you can kind of look at me after I say this and we're like, well, why am I going to listen to you about this album? I am not overly familiar with the past few albums before this one. I own Gutter Flower.
Okay.
I own Let Love In.
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, I've heard them and I know some songs, but I don't know the albums as well like I do with some of the early stuff. So to compare and say, well, where does this one stack up against even the more recent ones? It's hard for me to say because I'm just not as familiar. Because look around the room, folks. I got a lot to listen to.
Yeah.
How familiar are you with anything past Dizzy Up the Girl besides this one, of course?
About as familiar as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
casual after that point.
Casual, yeah.
Yep.
For what it's worth. So keep that in mind too as you listen to us. But
feel free to bash us. I mean, we can if this is way out of left field and this is their best album in 20 years, let us have it.
Hey, and there's no such thing as bad press, they say. So good comments, bad comments. We just want comments.
Yeah.
But as we always say, please like the video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. We are slowly but surely pushing up to that 100 subscriber mark. So we would love your help to get there. And it's been less than a month.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled. We're thrilled. People are listening and watching, and we can't thank you enough.
Yep.
So once again, for Brad, I am Keith. Check out the new Goo Goo Dolls album entitled Chaos in Bloom. Let us know what you think. And we will see you real soon. Take care, folks.
See you next time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.